what was your background that got you to this?
Well, as I look back, there were 5 stepping stones, which I wasn't aware of until a certain moment. I came from a family, like many of the youth that we're helping. Addiction, abuse. I never had the support I needed, and yet in my heart, I knew I was bright. I knew I had things to do in the world, and I knew I wanted to help people. But I didn't know how to pull all those pieces together and create the chemistry like Jimmy shared in his story, to make it happen for myself. But I was determined, I was persistent, and so I did get a degree, a bachelor's degree, and a number of years after that, my younger sister had brain surgery. She was a single mom with 2 children, and I became the conservator after her surgery because she had no capacity. When the doctors and residents, therapists brought me in after they had evaluated her, they said there was nothing they could do. She would never be a mother again. And when I left that conference, what rose above all of those emotions that I was flooded with from hearing what I had just heard was, I really don't care what your degrees are and what you've just told me. I know my sister will be fine, and I will get her the support that she needs.
Oh my gosh, okay.
What that experience gave to me was the knowledge that so many people in the world are discarded when there isn't an advocate or a family member to really fight for them when they're most vulnerable and when they're at their lowest ebb. That inspired me to get my master's degree, change careers, and get into social service because I knew I would have to have a degree to be able to do that work. So that was the next step. After that, I worked in social service and was hired by Sunny Hills, the residential placement facility that Jimmy was in, to design the first program for youth who were leaving that program at age 18.
Okay.
A program that they didn't have when Jimmy was there. And that was exciting to me because I realized I always did want to work with this age group, and that was like the best job. And I thought that was it. After about a year and a half, funding dried up for that program, and they closed it.
Oh, boy.
So I had that moment in time where youth like Jimmy and other youth were trusting me, making progress, and now would be abandoned again to not continue to have this support. It was at that point that I feel I was called to found HO. I used my own savings, had no funding, no team, and just hit the ground running to be able to continue to help them build AHO. I even wrote the paperwork for the nonprofit grant, which is not my expertise. So
you just did what it took.
Yes.
Yeah, you had some background in nonprofit, but you just started. So that was about 11 years ago.
Yes.
And so you were working at that time. Joe Costa was running that organization. Okay, yeah. And so then you went out on your own and just began a nonprofit. Did you get nonprofit status at that time, or how did you?
Fiscal agent with Marin Link. It was about 9 months or a year or so later, we actually got our actual nonprofit status,
Uh-huh.
but we had fiscal agent with Marin Link.
And so the youth started coming to you. First it was Jimmy, and then
The youth that I had been working with at Sunny Hills,
Okay.
they knew many, because I had been in social service now,
Right.
prior to Sunny Hills hiring me for about 10 or 11 years, I knew there was a huge issue with homeless youth in Marin, and no one was doing anything.
And were they homeless because they were aging out of foster care?
Not so much in Marin. We don't have many foster youth in Marin.
All right.
What I was seeing was youth who had come from families like the youth that you met, or no families at all, like
Uh-huh.
Jimmy, for example, but families who were drug, alcohol addicted, mentally ill, abusive in ways ever been. They're so articulate and
Yes.
so forth. They want to fit in because that's a natural thing to do during this age.
Mm-hmm.
They want to do it themselves, and they try very hard to do it themselves until they can't.
Mm-hmm.
And some get addicted to meth and other things, and they never come out of it.
That's right. They're
The
lost.
youth that come to us are ready for help because they need to make the call. And they have the support from other youth who have worked with us to know that when they come, they're